So I noticed recently that Literotica kind of purged everything that involves people under the age of 18. And it's very weird. It's not like I noticed anything about 12-year-olds. No, I mean, I did stumble on this thing called bodyguarding Bella one time, but no, I'm talking about there was like a massive amount of Olivia Holt content. Olivia Holt daddy content for some reason, like, whatever. And there was this one with Debbie Ryan, where Debbie Ryan fucks her uncle. And I'm like wondering, is there some sort of behind the scenes fear of legislation type thing? Because personally, I feel like if you're a pedo, first of all, there's a difference between pedophilia and molestation. And second off, not all molesters are pedophiles. That's like a whole violence mentality thing, whatever. Here's the thing. Historically, the more, jerking off, the more porn became available with time, the less people actually ended up fucking. So it's been like downhill for like half a century. And like, I don't see any reason why that wouldn't apply to pedos. So I do think that if there's no victim involved, I think pedos should have access to the pedo fantasies in principle, so they don't become molesters and that they don't molest people. Also, there's absolutely no reason to believe that someone listening to high school girl give blowjob stories would be any more or less likely to take advantage of a high school girl than a regular person. Not unless he has some sort of mental illness or whatever. And it just seems stupid to me. And I don't think governments should have this power if they are exerting influence onto Literotica. A thing that happened a while back, there was this thing called Backpage, right? Which facilitated people arranging for escorts or hooking up with hookers online. Right. And a whole bunch of websites stopped doing that. But then the US suddenly decided, because Kamala Harris was being special, to try to go after Backpage. And at first she did it in a ridiculous way where apparently the FBI was like praising Backpage one year, and then next year they swat him. And apparently there was a naked grandma in the shower at some point. And Kamala Harris was a national embarrassment, embarrassed herself because everybody knew there was no legal reason to go after Backpage, but the FBI spoiled that relationship. And then their facilitating of hookups with escorts became illegal. And you see, because you're using the thing, they could just basically set up a sting for finding pedophiles. So nationwide, thousands of cases that required Backpage to get a sense of where the pedophiles are, to get dirt on the pedophiles, right, all of a sudden vanished. And from what my understanding is that child sexual abuse through online methods in America has gone up exponentially since Backpage got fucked over. At least that's how I understand the story of Backpage. If I'm wrong, please tell me, but like fundamentally speaking, these are very serious things, and prudish, annoying people messing with people who just want to write erotica is never a good idea. Especially when those people who are prudish make their decisions based on fake bullshit like adolescence, which wrongfully depicts the possibility of a 12-year-old stabbing another 12-year-old based on things that teenagers listen to. A very, very, very normal 12-year-old stabbing another 12-year-old. 12 or 13-year-old. I mean, seriously. The last time that happened was over a decade ago, and both of those girls got diagnosed with mental illnesses. Mental or developmental illnesses. Because they thought, like, Slender Man wanted them to do it. And this happened. So, here's the context of what happens with adolescents, right? There is some guy stabs a bunch of girls. There's outrage in this place called Southport. The Prime Minister lies in spite of police telling people the exact opposite. Lies about it. The Southport riots being a right-wing thing with people going into Southport to cause violence. People on the ground who are actually police are like, no, the farthest away a guy from the community who did this was like 12 miles, and this isn't like what was happening. So Adolescence comes out. It scares the fuck out of the morning show crowd, right? And it's May of 2025 when I'm recording this, and a police supervising body has autopsied the situation and determined that, in fact, no right-wing, it's not a right-wing, far-right attack. It's not an engineered thing. This is not a thing. Even though Keir Starmer pushed for changing laws to suppress people's freedom of speech. And Adolescence came out, which is a piece of shit piece of propaganda. I don't care how well they acted or how well they shot the thing. It's fucking bullshit. If the core premise of the thing that you're making a reality is fucking bullshit, designed to scare me into giving up my rights, then everything about what you're doing is pissing me off, so its value has diminished exponentially in my eyes. It does not matter how well you think you have covered an issue, it is bullshit. Right, so Keir Starmer goes blah 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 blah, and this whole time he concealed evidence that would have facts that would have helped the right-wing argument, because the guy who stabbed a bunch of girls was Muslim and had these religious thoughts and whatever. But his excuse about why he didn't reveal that was that it was illegal. The laws of this country make that illegal. Blah, 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 blah. But it's not illegal to lie to your country as the Prime Minister about right-wing elements going into an area, busing into an area, like coming into the train to an area to cause violence. It's supposedly not illegal for a Prime Minister to do that, I suppose. Keir Starmer. Modern Britain. These types of people in power hanging around each other is extremely fucking stupid. These types of people deciding what you get to hear and what you don't get to hear is really fucking stupid. You cannot show kids grabbers. Look up grabbers. Watch grabbers. A parent cannot show their children grabbers without facing jail time, potential jail time in Britain. You cannot make jokes about Nazi bugs without being treated like a criminal and getting a criminal record, and the police ignoring procedure to steal money from your account, and appeals bodies laughing at you, and your final option for an appeal being erased because the rules weren't written with COVID in mind. Look up Count Dankula. The 60 Minutes thing in Germany about free speech, where a literal politician described half her job and said, well, I can't have that thing. If you're a politician, someone telling you how they would like to kill you without directly actually threatening you, this is half your fucking job. That's half your fucking job. Everybody should be free to say, I want to lynch my government officials. This is a fundamental core aspect right of being a human in a free society. If it's not, then and it hasn't been solved in a couple of years, then we have free reign to kill the politicians, to my mind, frankly. Like, if it is a dystopia like Britain, we have free reign to lynch the politicians. Yeah, so little things like Literotica canceling, erasing pedo porn or pederast porn, like, you know, these things very clearly, given all the other things that are happening, indicate some fuckery or some fear of fuckery. On the other hand, it could just be that you need to have an account. I'm not an expert on Literotica. Maybe if I get an account in Literotica, I can find that stuff. I have no idea. I don't know.